Good morning, rise and shine, y'all, rise and shine. You know, I'm walking out here and I'm thinking, looking out on the morning rain, I used to feel so uninspired before I met you. Cause you're the key to my peace of mind. You make me feel like a natural woman. Hi, Hope Hub. Good morning. Y'all know I can't sing, so do not critique me. I can't sing worth a dime, y'all. I can't hold a note to save my life. So, last week we lost Aretha Franklin, y'all, on August 16th. We lost a giant in pop culture, a giant in the area of blues and soul and gospel. Oh my God, y'all. I was telling my husband, I'm like, if you go to YouTube and find songs by Aretha Franklin, gospel songs, you will find yourself crying, like boo-hooing. Listen to her sing Amazing Grace or Jesus Friend of Mine and Precious Lord Hold My Hand. Like, oh my God, she is amazing. And I was telling him back in the day, especially when I first came to the States, I went through a period of time when I would listen to gospel music by Mahalia Jackson and Shirley Caesar, and I listened to Aretha Franklin during that time. And so my memory of Aretha Franklin is more so in gospel and just how she's able to move you, like, oh my God, like completely move your spirit. So if you haven't listened to those songs, I know everyone knows Natural Woman, but she has amazing albums from back in the day when she would sing gospel, and she'll be missed. That was an amazing singer. Rest in peace, Aretha Franklin. Additionally, last week as well, we lost Kofi Annan, Secretary General of the UN. I don't know if you ever lose that title, but in my mind, he'll always be the diplomat's diplomat. Like, Kofi Annan had this self-assurance, confidence, courage, dignity, just all the attributes that you would want a Secretary General to embody. That's what Kofi Annan was. And I absolutely loved him and looked up to him. He was like a mentor from afar. I remember back in the day when I was younger, I wanted to work for the United Nations. And so even for my master's degree, I studied urban development and public policy with a specification in nonprofit leadership, NGOs. And I studied NGOs because in my mind, I always thought like that was the track that I would be going into, is working for one of these big NGOs in Kenya. But, well, life went how it went. I ended up staying in the US. I ended up getting married, and sometimes life takes you in different ways. But one of my heroes for sure is definitely Kofi Annan, and he'll also be missed greatly, and his legacy will live on because he changed a philosophy. Like around the UN, there was so much focus on peace and security, and insecurity, looking at diplomacy, of course, from that level. But he introduced the idea that in order to deal with these other issues of diplomacy and peace and security, you have to look at the underlying root causes that are causing these issues to manifest. And at the bottom of all that is poverty, is education, is disease. And so he had this philosophy that we have to educate people, we have to deal with alleviating poverty, and we have to deal with diseases like HIV, AIDS, all these things that are vulnerabilities in societies that end up having wars and all these other things. You have to start with the family unit. You have to educate the girl child, the woman, and by educating the community or the family, you're able to influence the community, you're able to influence the nation. So there's building blocks to these things. You can't just start from this level. You have to start from the grassroots. So rest in peace, Kofi Annan. I am so grateful for the Hope Hub, y'all. Y'all make me tear up. Like when Kofi Annan passed away, there were people who sent me his information on my inbox that he had passed. And so I'm just grateful for those of you who are communicating with the Hope Hub and for whatever reason, recognizing that we care about the issues of the world. We care about when these giants in the faith, giants in government, giants in multinational companies, giants in inspirational, any person that motivates or inspires, that we really do care about them, and we end up speaking about them, or I end up speaking about them, right? So thank you so much. So anyway, today what was I thinking about? Today I listened to a TED Talk by Susan David, a psychologist, and she starts off her TED Talk speaking about, I think she says, Sawubona. And I guess that's the Zulu word for I see you. It's a greeting word. Sorry, it's a Zulu word for hello. But literally translated, it means I see you. And therefore, by seeing you, but therefore, by seeing you, I recognize you, or I bring you into my life, and I bring you into my experience. And that really resonated with me because lately at work, we've been reading the book Ubuntu as a philosophy that you can use in the workplace. And Ubuntu is also another South African philosophy that basically means the same thing. Ubuntu means literally, I am because you are. I am because you are. And basically a lot of African communities, especially in the past, I don't know about it now, have this idea that we are all one as a humanity. We are all communal, and that communities cannot exist without recognizing each and every person in that community has value, but also that each and every person in that community is unique and has their own issues of life and has their own family and needs to eat and needs their basic needs met, etc., etc. And so by recognizing that, especially back in the day, and maybe it's still the case now in Africa, but that communal spirit means that we take care of each other. So how does that apply to you, and how does that apply to me, and maybe even the workplace, because that's something we're doing in the workplace, is this idea that you are first and foremost human. Like before you're anything else in society, you're first and foremost human. And in the workplace, before you're anything else in that workplace, a senior analyst, a manager, a director, program manager, a secretary, you bring into the workplace who you are, right? And so it's important that we see each other for who we are first. So by seeing me on the Hope Hub, y'all already know some of who I am. I don't know a whole lot about who you are or why you're on this site and why you watch my videos, but at least I've given you some insight as to who I am. And first and foremost, I'm a human being, just like any of you. I have feelings. I have stresses. I'm not always happy. I have emotions. I have, life uncertainties, from one day to another. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm dealing with children, with a husband, with a household, with a job. So I am so many facets of who I am. And so in the same vein, in your workplaces, in the people that you meet in society, first and foremost is that recognition that I see you. Like actually taking the time to look at someone and seeing the humanity in them and saying hello and acknowledging them. And by seeing them, you bring them into your life experience and you recognize that they have value and that they have something to bring, and you make them human by seeing them. So anyway, I thought that was an amazing concept. And if you watch that TED Talk, Oh my God, it's a powerful TED Talk in terms of the things that she brings out, especially in this society where she talks about how a lot of us are walking around falsely positive. So basically I come here on the Hope Hub, and sometimes, let me tell you, if I'm not positive, I struggle with coming on the Hope Hub, right? But what if I just completely disappeared? Would someone check in on me and say, what happened to this woman that used to be on the Hope Hub? What happened to her? Life happens, right? There's always uncertainties. If there's anything certain in life, it's uncertainty. Recently, I was teaching a class, and on one of the slides, we were talking about trauma and how people get traumatized in life. And we had listed like 12 things on a slide in terms of what may cause trauma in your life. So there was disease, diagnosis, there was abuse, there was neglect, there was accidents, there was sickness, there were all these things. And someone raised their hand and was like, yo, they were like, you're not telling us anything new, because all these things on that slide, that's life. That's life. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not saying that's life. That's not life. It is life. But it's important to recognize that at any time, one of us, your brothers, your sisters, your family members, your co-workers, someone is always dealing with all these things that we call life. And it's not uncommon for people to show up in their workplace and just think, oh, I'm just going to take off this trauma. I'm going to take off this thing that happened over the weekend. I'm going to take off this thing that's driving me crazy. I'm going to take off this stress of life and just act like everything's normal. Usually people don't do that. They may smile, but it still will impact their day, and it ends up impacting their children, impacting their colleagues, impacting their communities, and in general, the society. So we're all dealing with different things privately, but we also deal with different things publicly. Even in the public space here in the US with politics, and when I watch the news, you know, at some point I stopped watching the news because it was stressing me out, right? And so I'm kind of sort of in a denial, a political correctness and denial in terms of what's happening in the world, in the nation, in the White House, because I just don't want to see it. But that's my issue. But at the same time, I know that other people are also dealing with the same thing, where they're like, I don't want to see it. I'm going to have this false positivity that everything is right in the world. I'm just going to shut off that TV. I'm going to completely take these feelings that I have of angst or fear or whatever and put them aside and bottle them up and act like they don't exist. Let me tell you, they do exist, and they do come out if you do not deal with them. And so in her TED Talk, she talks about, I think her dad passed away when she was 14, and how for 4 months she would go to school and just smile and act like everything's okay, until her teacher one day told her, look, I want you to take this journal, because there's no way that something so major happened in your life and you're fine, you're walking around like everything is fine. She said, I want you to take this journal and write down what you are feeling. Truthfully, authentically, exactly what you're feeling in your heart. And so she said that shifted her life completely, because once she started writing down exactly how she was feeling, because she was bottling all these feelings, it was like a freedom and something so cathartic to sit down and tell all the secrets of your silence and jot them down and pen a letter to yourself that expresses exactly how this experience has impacted you and how you're feeling. And my mom has told me this before too, where I think it was to me and my sisters as well, where she said, if you go through something, it's important to sit down, take note. Like if you don't have therapy or whatever, take pen and paper and jot down your feelings and write down exactly your truth in that moment. And it's so freeing and so liberating. So in that TED Talk, that's what Susan says is the importance of recognizing that we're human, the importance of recognizing that we all have emotions, and the importance of recognizing that those emotions play a part. And you shouldn't shame yourself by having certain feelings. You should sit with those feelings. You should take the time to, she says, examine the contours of those feelings, understand what it means to be sad, what it means to cry, what it means to be empathetic or sympathetic, and take those experiences and learn from them and engage with them, because if you bottle them up, they end up showing up in your body, in your spirit, in other ways. So it may end up being depression, it may end up being something actually physically that happens to you. And she actually says that depression has become the leading cause of disability in this nation and has surpassed cancer and heart disease. Can you imagine that? Depression, something emotional, something mental, has now become the leading cause of disability in this country. The other, I think I put a quote up there where she talks about courage, and that courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is fear walking around. So just the importance of all of us, and this is my last hope lifeline for the day, is that it's the importance of you guys understanding that life is uncertain, life is uncomfortable, life is feelings, right? And life requires courage, and you need to walk every day into every day with that understanding that you should not run away from courage, right? That in order for you to be courageous, it doesn't mean that there's absence of fear, that you feel the fear and you do whatever it is that you need to do anyway. And I like the fact that she talks about discomfort, and she says discomfort is the admission to a meaningful life. Because all of us want to be comfortable, but in order for you to make anything meaningful out of your life, you have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable and face discomfort and face uncertainty with courage on a daily basis. So you just have to have courage, y'all. Have courage. Otherwise, y'all tell me what you think about this Hope Lifeline for your day. I hope I gave you some hope on this day, some hope that you can, some hope on the importance of some hope that you shouldn't be emotionally rigid, right? That you should be emotionally flexible. That some hope around, what else did I tell you? I say so many things that sometimes I forget. Did I say what Ubuntu is? Ubuntu is I am because you are. And so that's your lesson for today, is that go out with that philosophy of Ubuntu wagamantu, where you understand that we're all one, we're all human. Embrace the humanity in others, that we only can thrive in this world, in this complex world, by recognizing the humanity in others, by helping each other. And especially with us learning about this at work, it helps us help each other more, because then you recognize that Faith is not just a cog in the wheel of this organization. She's a woman, she's a mother, she's this, she's that, and she brings in her own value, but she's also dealing with personal stuff. And so when you see someone struggling at your workplace, when you see someone that needs help, a family member who has that false positive smile, and let me tell you, as human beings, instinctively, you can tell when someone is acting falsely positive, when they're not authentically happy. They're just like, but then you can tell in their eyes, if you take the time to talk to them and have a conversation with them, you'll realize, like, whatever I had as my instinct that this person is not themselves was actually true. Now, of course, you have to be careful, because you're not going to go ask people questions about their personal life, but just say, hey, what happened to you? You look kind of different. Are you okay? Are you really fine? Is there anything I can help you with? You know, that's how we live as human beings, and that's how we end up making a better community. All right, I think that's it for me today. Watch that TED Talk by Susan David. She is amazing. And have a blessed day. And last but not least, I appreciate all of you for logging in. I don't see who you are. I see the views, but not a lot of highs or hellos or waves. But at the end of the day, I'm here just to send that message of hope and give someone a lifeline and help someone have a better positive day each and every day. All right, so God bless you. Don't feel shy to inbox the Hope Hub on a topic you want me to discuss, on an issue that you're facing, or a life experience or a life lesson that you want me to share with others. I will certainly do that. Yes, all right, bye-bye. Have an amazing day. Peace.